Broadcasting live from the Albay PIO News Center, providing you the most exclusive news update from all over the province. This is News at 12. In the local scene, Albay has been placed under a state of calamity following the widespread devastation caused by a super typhoon Uwan. The declaration came after the Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council recommended urgent measures to speed up relief and recovery efforts across all towns and the cities. Officials said the storm left over 150,000 families displaced due to severe flooding, landslides, and power outages across the province. Reports show more than 8,900 houses were partially damaged, while over 500 were totally destroyed. Agricultural losses reached more than 780 million pesos, with rice, corn, and high-value crops and abaca among the hardest hit, while damage to school facilities was placed at over 312 million pesos. The province has 53.8 million pesos available from its Quick Response Fund to support post-disaster operations. Authorities said the declaration will allow the provincial government to access calamity funds and fast-track emergency assistance to affected communities. In other story, the provincial government of Albay is boosting sustainable agriculture through the distribution of free-range chickens to local farmers. The initiative, led by the Albay Provincial Agricultural Office in partnership with the Department of Agriculture, supports the province's organic agriculture program. It is aimed to help farmers shift to more organic and eco-friendly practices while providing additional livelihood opportunities. Officials said the program is part of the Albay's continuing push for a greener and more sustainable future for both farmers and the community. In other news, the regional coordination meeting on Bicol disaster readiness and response was held in Albay to strengthen the province's disaster preparedness and interagency coordination. The meeting was spearheaded by the American Red Cross in partnership with the Philippine Red Cross Albay chapter, the Margaret A. Cordial Philanthropies, local government units, and other agencies. The initiative was aimed to reinforce Albay's proactive approach to disaster risk reduction and response strategies amid recurring natural hazards such as typhoons, floods, and volcanic activity. Provincial offices, including the Albay Public Safety and Emergency Management Office and the Albay Provincial Agricultural Office, presented updates on the province's comprehensive disaster preparedness framework. Discussions focused on early warning systems, community-based programs, and improving coordination before, during, and after emergencies. The American Red Cross recognized Albay as a model of preparedness, citing its consistent leadership in disaster risk reduction management across the Bicol region. In the national scene, the Office of Civil Defense reported that the combined death toll from Typhoon Tino and Super Typhoon Uwan has now reached 257, with hundreds still missing and injured. According to OCD Deputy Administrator Bernardo Rafaelito Alejandro IV, Typhoon Tino left 232 people dead, 112 missing, and 512 injured. Super Typhoon Uwan claimed 25 lives, mostly in the Cordillera Administrative Region, with 29 injured and 2 missing. Clearing and rescue operations continue in landslide-hit areas, but the OCD said there are no longer any isolated communities. The Bicol region, particularly Catanduanes, Camarines Sur, and Camarines Norte, suffered heavy damages. Search, rescue, and retrieval teams are now fully mobilized in these provinces. Alejandro added that Samar and Leyte were also severely affected, having been struck by both storms. This has been caused long power interruptions across 12 regions and 15 provinces, affecting about 3 million households, according to the National Electrification Administration. More than 12,000 evacuees have received government assistance and many are now returning home. However, around 10,700 houses remain damaged. The OCD assures that it still has enough quick response fund, but may request more from the Department of Budget and Management if needed. Initial reports show that infrastructure damage has reached 108.6 million pesos, while the assessment for agriculture losses is still ongoing. In other story, the Department of Justice confirmed that former Department of Public Works and Highway Secretary Manuel Bunuan has departed for the United States to accompany his wife, who is undergoing a medical procedure. Bunuan is among the former DPWH officials linked to the alleged irregularities in flood control projects. DOJ spokesperson Attorney Polo Martinez stated that there is no legal impediment to Bunuan's travel, emphasizing his constitutional right to travel, with his trip expected to last until December 17, 2025. The Bureau of Immigration also verified that Bunuan was cleared for departure, as there is no pending warrant of arrest against him. The agency explained that while he is under an immigration lookout bulletin, order issued by the Department of Justice, proper coordination confirmed that no whole departure order is in effect. Independent Commission for Infrastructure Executive Director Brian Osaka said the ICI has already submitted recommendations to the Office of the Ombudsman regarding Bunuan's possible involvement in the alleged anomalous projects. He clarified that the ICI has no authority to issue whole departure orders and can only recommend inclusion in the DOJ's lookout bulletin. In other news, the Independent Commission for Infrastructure ICI is seeking broader powers to investigate and hold accountable those responsible for irregularities in flood control and other infrastructure projects. ICI Executive Director Attorney Brian Osaka proposed granting the Commission authority to close establishments, revoke registrations, and recommend automatic cancellation of professional licenses for individuals involved in anomalous projects. The Commission also seeks full access to records from government agencies, local government units, and state corporations, including the BIR, Customs, SEC, AMLC, Land Registration Authority, and the Land Transportation Office. ICI officials emphasized that only the Supreme Court should have the power to issue temporary restraining orders or injunctions that could delay its investigations. Congress is reviewing House Bill 4453 and 5699, which would strengthen the Commission's powers to recover and sequester assets, issue whole departure orders, cite persons in contempt, and directly file administrative, civil, or criminal cases against those involved in irregular projects. House Speaker Boji D. III assured that the measures are expected to be approved before Congress's December break. Osaka welcomed the additional powers, saying they will make the Commission's work faster and more efficient. And in the news outside the country, the United States Supreme Court on Monday declined to hear a case challenging the landmark 2015 decision that established a constitutional right to same-sex marriage nationwide. The court, which holds a conservative 6 4-3 majority, provided no explanation for its refusal and no dissenting opinions were filed. The case was brought by former Kentucky County Clerk Kim Davis, who had defied a court order by refusing to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples, citing her Christian religious beliefs. Davis has been ordered to pay substantial damages and legal fees to a same-sex couple affected by her actions. Advocacy groups for LGBTQ+ rights, including the Human Rights Campaign and Lambda Legal, welcomed the court's decision, emphasizing that public officials are obligated to respect constitutional rights of all individuals. Both organizations cautioned, however, that legal challenges to same-sex marriage may continue. According to the Williams Institute at UCLA, there are now over 820,000 married same-sex couples in the United States, which is more than double the number recorded at the time of the Supreme Court's 2015 ruling. In other story, Hamas has handed over what Israel claims as remains of Lieutenant Hadar Golden, an Israeli officer killed in the 2014 Gaza conflict, to Israel through the Red Cross. Golden was killed during an Israeli operation in Rafah targeting tunnels linked to Hamas. His body had been held in Gaza for over 11 years, and Israeli experts are now working to confirm the identity of the remains. The transfer came under the ongoing ceasefire that began on October 10, which has seen Hamas release all living hostages and return 23 bodies of deceased captives. In exchange, Israel has freed nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and returned bodies of Palestinians killed in the conflict. 4 hostage remains, 3 Israeli and 1 Thai, are still to be repatriated. Meanwhile, displaced Gazans continue to face the challenges of living in temporary shelters and rebuilding their lives after the October 2023 fighting, which killed thousands, mostly civilians. Many residents hope the ceasefire will lead to reconstruction, restoration of schools, and safe conditions for children and families. And finally, in the news outside the country, the legal team of former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte has asked the International Criminal Court (ICC) to remove 2 neuropsychologists assigned to assess his mental health for trial. The experts' identities have not been made public. In a redacted document dated November 7 and released Tuesday, Duterte's lawyers said 1 female neuropsychologist should be removed because she is currently suspended from her medical practice. The suspension, issued by an unnamed professional regulatory body, has reportedly been upheld 4 times. The defense also criticized the expert for not informing the ICC registry, which keeps a list of approved medical specialists. They argued that a suspended expert should not be allowed to provide assessments for the ICC. The neuropsychologists are part of a 3-member team appointed in September to examine Duterte's mental and neurological condition. The evaluation will determine whether he is able to participate in his trial in The Hague, where he faces charges of murder as a crime against humanity linked to his government's drug war. The ICC has not decided on the request yet. And that's all for the news at 12, November 17, 2025. We'll be back tomorrow for more news updates. Thanks to our news writer LJ Lurejo and Naomi Ruth Hernandez. And on the technical side, Chad Bobis. And our Provincial Information Officer OIC Marty Gonzalez. And under the supervision of our Governor Noel E. Rosal, I am Greg Hallare. Thank you for subscribing.